Welcome to Casa Conversations. I'm excited because we have Derek from an organization that is honestly making more difference than most of us can hope to make. And I want him to kind of break it down and explain exactly how the organization is impacting kids in the world of gun safety. If you follow him on Instagram or any of their social medias, you see that they're out there teaching kids about firearms, teaching kids how to safely and effectively use firearms, and that is indeed the Lord's work. If we talk about doing good things in the Second Amendment community, if we talk about preventing one of the most tragic and publicized forms of gun tragedy, we should definitely, most certainly, support people who are making sure that children are safe and effective with firearms. So let's go ahead and let me get past the jabbering phase. My name is Aaron, Costa Conversations podcast. If you're new here, thank you for joining. If you are not new here, thank you for coming back. And let's go ahead and get into it. Derek, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on. It's a pleasure to have you.
It's great to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the organization because first of all, let's get the name out there. It's a Kids Safe Foundation. How are we saying this?
Yes, it's the Kids S.A.F.E Foundation.
Okay, and SAFE is an acronym.
SAFE is an acronym for Safety Around Firearms Education.
Very good. Yeah, it's interesting because it's not people talk about like, oh yeah, I learned to shoot when I was 10 or I learned to shoot when I was 25 or 45, but you don't see a lot of organizations saying like we specifically reach out to children or the parents of children to get the kids involved to make sure that they are safe and responsible. How do you guys? I guess what does that look like? What do you guys do? How do you guys get the kids involved? Talk about the org.
So, basically the Kids S.A.F.E Foundation, we're a 501c3 nonprofit and we're based in Oregon. And so we teach firearm safety and accident prevention to kids. And, since our founding back in 2016, we've reached over 28,000 kids in 5 states and taught them life-saving skills on what to do if they ever come across an unsecured firearm. And so the goal is to have a program that can be well received, even for people that don't have firearms. And one thing for the parents out there that are maybe are fearful of guns or don't have any experience with guns, don't think for a second that your kids can't be exposed somewhere else, and so that's kind of our mission. Our mission is to make sure that we have a message that resonates, across all political divides. It crosses all socioeconomic divides, and reaches those families and empowers those kids to make good, safe decisions.
That's actually really great because, we talk about trying to make a difference, right? We're like, oh yeah, we need to do this and we need to do that, but there are people out there actually, boots on the ground, putting, pen to paper, making things happen, showing up in whatever the location is. I don't know if you guys do anything in schools or if it's just like,
Mhm.
hey, we're doing something at the range and we're going to invite kids to it, but
Mhm.
they speaking of that, I know a lot of ranges are a little bit squeamish about like, oh, well, you can't have people under this age,
Mhm.
insurance or whatever the reason is. Do you guys run into that? Are some ranges opposed to letting you do a hold events?
Absolutely. I mean, some places definitely more challenging than others. Obviously California would be an example where they don't want to teach the kids about, safety, and that actually is counterproductive to the safety of the kids there. We've been blessed with the opportunity to go to Hawaii twice and being able to teach the keys there and to educate the public on the importance of firearm safety. And this is something that, you know, I can't stress enough is used responsibly and taught the right way, these kids will never ever have an accident. And
Yeah.
our mantra is zero firearm accidents, the only acceptable goal. And so until we get to zero, we're going to continue to work.
Yeah. No, I mean, absolutely. Zero is the only goal that I'm comfortable with. Now, I mean, somebody might be like, oh, zero. I mean, come on, statistically. I'm like, well, think about your own kids. Do you not have think about your nieces and nephews? What would you like the percentage to be when we're
Yeah.
talking about them being effective and safe around firearms? You know, what
And
should that
that's
be?
that absolutely. And that's the biggest pushback that we might get from people that might try to stop what we're trying to do is and you kind of phrased it in a really great way is what's the acceptable number of lost? And for me it's zero, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so until I get to zero, I'm going to continue to work. And so obviously everything comes down to funding, and getting more people involved as we grow this program. We have it trademark copyrighted, and we're looking to grow, but it all comes down to funding. And
Yeah,
we have something that's very, very unique, and it's very turnkey, and it's all about getting people from all over the country involved, and showing the public, even the people that don't have guns, that there's organizations out there that do care about their kids and they want to keep them safe. And
yeah,
so that's what we're going to keep doing, and that's why I'm so thankful to be here, because I get to another microphone and another
absolutely.
platform to be able to reach those parents, to make sure they know what we're doing and what we're about, and give them things to think about in their own lives.
Absolutely. And I think I'm glad you're here, first of all.
Thank
I
you.
know the anti gun left generally, but I suppose there's some people who consider themselves right who are also anti gun. Some people who are um, pro gun pseudoly, like they're like, oh, I'm a gun owner, but that song and dance.
Hmm.
So when I say there's organizations out there who sometimes they identify in a conservative way, and I'm not here to divide conservatives from liberals. I don't care about that fight right now.
Hmm.
But I was approached maybe about a year ago by an organization. They were like, "Hey, we'd like to maybe do something potentially," and they were all for gun safety, which, if you know anything about the firearms industry and the firearms space, for maybe those who are tuning in, gun safety always means basically more regulations, bans, laws that will mandate you to do certain things. Well, you have to lock it up. Like if it's not in a specific lockbox, whether you have kids or not, you're going to jail. Like things like that.
Absolutely.
And
It's always common sense as well.
right, common sense gun safety stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, yeah, that's real common. I mean, and if you if you come from a completely uneducated point of view, or a point of view that's searching for a specific answer, some of that stuff starts to kind of make sense for a second, and then but it's easily challenged and easily debunked, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's where I come from. Um, so I love that you guys are actually, as an organization, seeking to do what they are doing, which is like, hey, can we do something to actually like make a difference? Because it seems like every single time something bad happens, and there's a lot of bad things that happen. We live in a big world with billions of people, and in a big country with hundreds of millions of people, something bad can happen, right? But I love that you guys are actually there trying to make a difference in a way that we can all kind of get on board with. So what are some of the things that you guys are doing? I know you bring kids out to the range. What are some of the programs? What are some of the resources that you have?
So I think the biggest thing is it's our accident prevention program. And so this is a 1 hour class. Typically it's held in a Cabela's location or any place where I get access to the kids. And so that talks about, firearm safety, what to do if they come across an unsecured gun. We're talking to the parents as well about, proper storage of the gun when it's not on their person. And then we talk about, video game violence, and how that affects young minds. And we also talk about anti-bullying. So there's a lot of stuff that we're talking about in this 1 hour class that's going to put these kids on the right path to make sure that they're going to be safe when it comes to firearms. And I have real guns in this class, and so I actually demo the guns for the kids for the first time, and so that way I'm able to kind of counter stuff they might see on social media. It could be on YouTube, it could be from people that are fearful of guns, and so it's kind of a way for us to give real factual information in a way that it resonates with everybody. And from that we also transition to the range, and we offer a range class. And so that's a way for us to reinforce all the information that we taught in the first class, but with real guns this time. And so we get to use rimfires, and so that one's definitely a lot of fun. And so there, what we're trying to do is to show, because parents are kind of fearful sometimes. They don't know when the right time is to get their kid involved, and a lot of times is the first time that gun goes off for that child. It's like that you see this weight lifted off of the shoulders of the parents, because they realize that their kids can do it. And
Yeah.
if taught properly, they're going to be able to enjoy their 2A rides with their parents now, because now they feel empowered to be able to take their kids to the range when they're not with us. And it's really a tremendous experience.
Yeah, that is awesome. I was looking at some of the numbers that you guys have put out. Um, Share with the people who are the uninitiated. How many kids have you been able to reach with the program so far?
So over 28,000 now. And we
Yeah.
probably have 1,500 that have been through our range program since the beginning. And so that's 1,500 kids that have gotten 75 to 100 rounds downrange with rimfires. We've also had a kid that joined us that was blind. So we have an adaptive component to our program. So the goal, everybody talks about equality, right? Everybody's about inclusion and quality, but true equality inclusion is making sure every kid has the same opportunity. And that's our job as an organization, to make sure that we make that happen. And so if we have to modify rifles, if we have to get good sponsors involved to make these custom rifles to help this kid that cannot see be safe and have a good time with his family, and show him that there's no barrier for this kid, and he can do anything in life that he wants to do, just by making sure that he perseveres. And that's our goal. And so there's so much stuff that comes out of just learning how to shoot, and it teaches safety, discipline, respect for the firearm. And it's something I'm very, very blessed that my father taught me to shoot and gave me a BB gun at 3 years old, and gave me a shotgun at 5 years old. So I've been shooting my entire life, and this is something I get to pay forward to the next generation. And you talked a little bit earlier about organizations that are they talk about quote unquote gun safety. There's a big push right now, and I want people to be aware of that. There's organizations that are not our friends, that are now they see that gun safety actually works, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to corrupt and dilute the message when it comes to gun safety. There's certain organizations out there that'll say, we believe in gun safety, but the only way you're going to be able to keep your kids safe is by getting rid of your firearms and making sure that you have no firearms inside the home. And
Hmm.
we can argue that that's actually more dangerous for your kids, because there's no way to keep your kids actually safe and protected because your gun is not inside the home.
Yeah.
And so that's where we have to do better as like a 2A group, and the 2A community, is to make sure that we push back on that. And we've been doing this for 8 or 9 years now. Our message hasn't changed. Our message is gotten stronger. It's gotten more polished. And so it's just those other organizations that see what other people are doing, that are trying to kind of corrupt. And the problem is, they have big donors. They have billionaires. They have graphics design teams. They have messaging teams. They have sounding boards. They have all of this stuff where
Hmm.
they can push out a message that and get it out quickly. But do you want to trust that at the end of the day, and trust that with the safety of your kids?
Yeah. So let's push past a lot of the. We'll get to the brass tacks of I guess the Achilles heel of many good
Mhm.
organizations trying to work hard. I've had two great organizations that deal with the mental health aspect, Walk the
Yeah,
Talk America and
absolutely.
Hold My Guns. Both
Mhm.
with really solid people at the helm of those organizations, really just
Mhm.
trying to make sure that people are a okay, and b pushing the firearms space, the community, the industry, whatever you want to call it, forward in such a way where we can take care of our own, which is really great. But the Achilles heel is funding, is money. Like, if you're not literally the NRA, it almost seems like you're not gonna get financial support. Like, what do you have to do to get money to fundraise, to make sure that you can do this more or less full time and not have to dedicate 40 to 60 to 80 hours doing something else. And I don't know what your current employment situation looks like. You maybe if you want to break that down, you can. You don't have to. But how are you ensuring that you're able to continue to do this work and hire more people?
Well, that's the $1 million question right there. Currently I'm a firearms instructor by trade. That's what I do for a living. And that's what affords me the ability to be a volunteer for this organization, the Kids S.A.F.E Foundation. And it's not something, I wish I had this, bottomless funding, which I don't have. And it comes very, very, it comes at a great cost to my personal life because of the amount of time and effort that I spend, making sure the next generation is protected. And something that, this is, God's in control right now, and he's steering me in this position. He's giving me the platforms and the microphones to continue to speak my truth. And so I believe that he will never let me down, and he won't let me fail, because he knows, there's lives attached to this. And the gun industry, it's very tribal. And so, I kind
Yeah.
of view myself kind of as an outsider, because I don't like the glim and the glam. There's influencers. I don't like that term for myself. I'm a man of action. And so that's what I do, is I go to work every day to make sure that I do what I need to do to make sure, and I sacrifice to make sure that, we have money in the bank as an organization so we can continue to do what we do. And so I'm very, very blessed to have some great sponsors and great partners that believe in me and have helped me along this journey that I'm on. And so, obviously we don't have money for a paycheck for me, but we definitely have, money in the bank, and we got to make sure that all of our bills are paid, and we don't have any debt. So we've done some really great things as an organization to make sure that we're solvent and we continue to move forward. And it'll all come with time. It's just, getting in front of people, and using this microphone like I am today, to show them that there's organizations out there that are doing the work, that care about them. All of the money stays inside of their program, and it goes to, put fuel in the tank. It goes to buy promotional material. It goes to the everyday consumable costs. It doesn't go to Rolex watches. It doesn't go to fancy suits. It doesn't go to travel costs. It's all about making sure that we can continue to do the work that we're doing.
Excellent. So what you're telling me is it doesn't go to your vacation home and trips to
Nope.
Bali and Maui and the places. Um,
No.
not like we're throwing any sort of shade at any of the
No.
organizations that have. I wouldn't do that. I mean,
No.
but
No.
here's the thing. I would love, and you didn't ask me to do this, but I understand that organizations like yours, who are really trying to be responsible with the money that you do get in, um, kind of not. There's not so many, to be fair. How can people right now, if they were to pause the podcast or pause the live stream or wherever they're consuming this, say, well, let me throw them $5. You know, let me at least
Absolutely.
be able to take a potential donor out and grab them a coffee so that they can talk about bringing more funding in, right? Because
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a cost.
Absolutely. And so we're grateful for any support that we get. Obviously we set up a new text number where it's 5355. You can text KSF to 53555. And that's a way for people to donate directly. That's something we just launched today. I've been
Mm-hmm.
working on it some of the day. And it's just to make it easier for people to help us when we need this help. And we're not going to spam you, and we're not going to do all this stuff. We're not going to send 20 emails to you asking for help. We're just going to, when we ask for help, the public's pretty good. And one thing that's been really kind of challenging for us as of late, I don't know, and there's probably been other groups that have dealt with this, is the censorship. And the fact that, we have a positive message and we're doing the right thing, and the fact that it doesn't fit in this hierarchy when it comes to social media, our mic is drowned out, and we are censored, we're shadow banned. And it's really, really frustrating, because what it's doing is it's impacting our ability to fill classes, because people are not seeing our stuff. And it's making, putting kids at risk, and so all I want is an equal platform. And if there's people that agree or disagree with what I'm saying, That's fine. I respect that. But the thing is we have to have an equal platform here, and so that's kind of where I'm at, and so that it's a challenge.
No, absolutely.
So,
And so for those who want to give, just let me make sure we have that right. I put it up
but
on the
yeah,
screen. Text
I'm fixing it right
5355
now. Give me 1 second.
for sure, for sure.
Five,
And definitely want to make sure that people can support. We'll add or we'll do what we have to do to try to make sure that people know about this organization. And I suppose
okay.
the next question, pardon?
I just put it in the chat for you.
Okay, sweet. I'll go ahead and get that pulled up then. Thank you. But
You're welcome.
while we're talking about that and doing that, let's talk about censorship. And are you guys running into that on like Instagram or Facebook or anything like
Absolutely.
that? I mean, you talk about
Absolutely.
guns, you talk about kids. It's gonna get blocked, right?
Yeah.
What are you guys running into?
Well, currently we're trying to evaluate on which platforms we actually use, and it's put us in a position where we have to evaluate resources, we have to evaluate time, and we have to figure out what's going to give us our biggest bang for the buck. And currently, Instagram used to be a really great platform, but now it's like we put something out and nobody sees it. And
Mm.
Facebook is the same thing, and I know they're owned by the same company. So what we've done is we've pivoted, and we've gone to YouTube, and we've grown our following on YouTube. And but YouTube is definitely more challenging because you're dealing with people from all over the world, and so people don't necessarily understand what we're trying to do. And that's what I truly miss about Instagram, because Instagram I'm able to use the image and messaging, and it's able to resonate a little bit better than it's something on YouTube. And so that's we're trying to figure out what we do. And I know I'm not the only one that's in this situation. I know all of us in the gun industry are struggling right now with the algorithms, and, there's X and there's Rumble and there's all these other echo
Hmm.
chambers. And to be honest with you, I don't enjoy echo chambers. I want to be in the community. I want to be in the public. I want to be in where people don't understand what we're trying to do, so I can talk to them and make them feel more supportive of what we're trying to do. And I can't do that from like an echo chamber. I already know how they're going to vote. I already know how they're going to do that, and those other platforms. And so it's been a challenge, and so it's something that we're putting lives at risk. If you're going to silence us, yet you're going to allow all this other stuff that's quote unquote acceptable forms of content. We're talking about what they're doing with gender affirming care and stuff like that, which that's that seems to be, that message is boosted. When we're talking about something that actually can save a child's life when it comes to gun safety, that's further down the chain, and that's not getting the publicity that it truly deserves.
Yeah, that is interesting, and I don't want to dive down into the wells
Absolutely.
of gender affirming care just because I'm
Yeah,
not equipped to talk
absolutely.
about it.
Neither
But
am I.
the truth of the matter is, people who have the power to basically allow you to exist in the world of social media will remove you completely. Like
Hmm.
when we talk about Parlor, and I don't care how anyone feels about Parlor, but the app was there, and it was literally removed from like Amazon Web Services, just like completely removed. You couldn't even get the app. It was removed from the app stores. The website was having trouble. I think they had to migrate the website, and the fact that the internet is not free and open like it used to be, like when was it ever? I feel like there was a time where it was, but then somebody's the gatekeepers and you can gatekeep in anything. The gun industry, like
Hmm.
you said, has gatekeepers. If you're not kind of in with the in crowd, you're not going
Hmm.
to have the success that's required. But so the idea that the internet overlords, whether it's Zuckerberg's people, I don't know what he personally cares, but his people who he's put in charge, um, and writing policies that on their face might be fine, but eventually you start to realize, oh wait, like they don't want people promoting guns kind of in a dangerous way, but that also means, or if that's what they mean, if that's what they mean, and if that's what they mean, that also means that they don't want people, that they will not allow you to promote guns in a positive way to promote gun safety, um, and they can more or less get away with saying, well, we don't want, some kid who's um, not supposed to have a gun to poke. Well, guess what? We're all completely zucked if we're okay with using that term. So and this is me being super charitable, right? Because a lot of us do feel like, okay, well, they've done nothing to help. And YouTube, for a time, YouTube was pulling accounts left and right.
Hmm.
Oh, you guys thrown it on a suppressor. You've modified the firearm. We can't have that. Or, oh, you've changed a 30 round magazine. You've modified the what? That's not modification. That's the standard function of the gun. Um, and they said, well, we have people overseas who don't understand, how firearms works, and that's why we're running into issues. But none of that makes sense. None of that makes sense at all.
No.
So getting back to really the point of what we're trying to get at is you guys are trying, and the thought that I had when you were talking about getting on YouTube is hard. Like, I'm a YouTuber. We just hit some milestones that we've really wanted to hit on the Armed Atlas YouTube channel. Um,
Okay.
Super excited about that. But the fact, you have to literally dedicate like a whole team of people, or an entire person, to running a YouTube channel. So I
Hmm.
feel for you. It's not like you can't just go on YouTube or even really any social media platform and just show up and expect to win. You have to really dedicate a lot of time and energy, right? Um, so I guess my question is here: how much time and energy do you feel like you actually have to dedicate to social media? I mean, I know you said you're a big boots on the ground guy. Like, you are going to be there, whether or not people know that on social.
Well, and it comes down. I mean, it's a 7 day a week job. It's something that to continue to get where we need to be and where we want to be, it takes energy and effort. And I have a great board of directors that support me. But obviously, when we're talking about running the everyday operations, it's me, and a lot of that falls on me. So I'm writing grants, I'm dealing with sponsors, I'm making content, I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm scheduling classes, updating the website. I'm doing everything, and it's definitely 7 days a week, and it's something that I have to do to continue to keep us going, so we can get to that next level. And that next level is a branch in Washington, or a branch in Idaho, or a branch in Nevada. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what keeps me going, is knowing that if I can just get to that next level and I can get that help, that's how we're going to make this. And I want to turn 28,000 kids into 2 million, or 10 million. And that's how we move this needle in a way that it needs to be moved. And we do that through making sure that we have good volunteers that are safe and are of good moral character, and making sure that we protect those kids at all times. But we grow this outside of where it's just me. And so, that's something that's really, really exciting to me, is I don't know what the future holds, but I know that I didn't come this far just to get this far. And I think anything, if anybody takes anything away from this podcast today, is just know that you're not alone doing the work. There's people out there that are watching you, that are cheering for you, and I'm cheering for you too. I want everybody to be successful. I want everybody to win. I want everybody to follow their dreams, because I'm following my dreams right now. And it seems like a lot of work and it seems daunting, but at the end of the day, like, I can feel that I made an impact. Like, I saved lives. We've stopped school shootings. We've protected kids numerous times that have gone through our program. We've stopped, and so, that gives me, great, great pride. So,
Absolutely, and as it should, um, as it should, and I can tell that this program has done probably for you way more than you could ever have asked it to. Like, I can just in the inflection in your voice. So I'm happy you're here. I'm happy you
yeah.
get to tell this story.
Well, about my story. So my story started back in 2013 when I was put in a position where I needed a gun and I didn't have one. And my girlfriend saved my life with my firearm. And we didn't have to fire a shot. It was all she did was point that muzzle at that bad guy that I was engaged with on the ground. I fought with him, for 10 minutes on the ground. And it was seemed like an eternity. I didn't know if he had a needle or a knife or any kind of weapon. I just had to keep control of the situation. She came out and saved me with my firearm. And from that, I became an instructor. As I was a new instructor, I realized I was working with parents that were new to guns, but I was exposing their kids to an accident. That was back in 2014 when I came to this realization. And then one night there was a flash of light. I was working a construction job in the middle of the night, and there was a flash of light. All I can figure is it was my higher power that told me that I had to protect the kids. And so I didn't know what that meant. I got off work that morning at 6 a.m. and I went to bed till 8 a.m. So 2 hours of sleep. I woke up and I woke up possessed. Like, what did that mean? What did that sign from the universe mean? And so I started looking at programs. There was one by the NRA, and obviously it hasn't been updated since the 80s. But being from Eugene, Oregon, I was concerned about, how well received it'd be. And so, that's where I started developing my program. And so it took 2 years of hard development. We became an official nonprofit in 2016. And now here we are today. And so, that is something that I if I can do it, you can do it, right? If there's something that you want to change in this world, in this country, you can do it if you just put the work in. And from that, I wrote a Senate bill in 2019 that would authorize our program for all first graders in the state of Oregon. And we tried again this year with a House bill. And so it was that professional experience that I developed through creating my program that now has put me in a position where now I'm helping other states introduce legislation. We're trying to show that there's nothing to be afraid of when it comes to gun safety for children if we teach them the right way. And so, we're not going to stop. This is something, that's why I say is, this is something that's so much bigger than me. What I started with an idea, and to where we're at today is completely, a night and day type situation. And so that's what gives me the energy that I need to continue to keep going forward. So that's kind of me. I kind of went off on
No, that was
but
great. I hear that you've been working in Oregon for forever, and
uh,
based on the things that we've seen in the news regarding Oregon, Washington, and gun safety laws, restrictions, magazine restrictions, types and rosters, and all the things, those states are slowly becoming California. I'm glad you're there, trying to make a difference and push back. Um, but have those the recent pushes has it made it harder for you to operate in those states, and to deal with the population that you deal with?
absolutely. And we have to look at the big picture here. The big picture is they want everyone disarmed. And we have to be frank, and we have to, tell the general public what their intentions are. Their intentions are not safety. If it was truly about saving lives, they would be incentivizing training. They would make it easier to carry a gun concealed in public for protection, personal protection. They would also, make it easier for people to buy safes. So it's not truly about safety of the public. And so that's where we have to make sure that we're smart with the messaging and make sure that we educate our group of people to know that, the wolf really is at the door. And it's
Mhm.
our job to make sure that we have but we have the gatekeepers that run social media. And so it's so hard to be able to get this message out because they don't want this message to get out. And so, it's definitely a challenge, and we have to all work together to boost the signal. We have to get better at checking in with one another. If we don't see each other for a couple weeks, why is that? And checking in on our friends and making sure, you're seeing their posts. And I think that's the only way we defeat these algorithms, is making sure that, we are, in this together, and we're boosting each other's signal. And that's why I'm so thankful to be here. Is just like, this gives me an extra mic. And so now, this can be shared, and I can cross share, and it's how we network. I think it's the only way that we're going to get through this censorship phase, because, at the end of the day, they can't do this forever. Technology is changing so quickly, and the messaging is changing so quickly, and the way they restrict is changing, that they really can't keep us under wraps forever. And I feel that it is just a matter of time till something else pops up and there's a new platform, and all this stuff. Then they're going to be wishing that we would be sharing our content on their platforms, and that's kind
Yeah.
of where I'm at. It's like I'm blessing Instagram with this great positive content where
Hmm.
you don't see people fighting in the comments. You don't see people, you see a positive message, as opposed to all the negative stuff right now. And
Right.
so, that's important.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting because I actually have some people who are doing really well on Instagram, and they make firearms related content. Some of them don't make actual shooting content. They just kind of report like use of force type stuff, and
Yeah.
people have their feelings about that. But literally, firearms could be used. People are getting in fights. People are getting really seriously hurt or injured, or whatever you want to call it, and it doesn't seem like that content gets throttled so much.
No.
But content that shows anyone actually in a gun range shooting safely and responsibly, your post is going to get cannot be recommended before
Yeah.
it violates
Yeah.
policy, goes against their
Yeah.
terms. You're like, what? When
Yeah.
I first got started here, this was not a problem. I put so many bad shooting videos up because I was just getting started for real,
Yeah.
and y'all were fine with that. And then, and even on the YouTube side, which is really frustrating, is sometimes you don't get a video recommended. You're like, oh man, are they like, censoring me? I don't know. I don't know that they are anymore because YouTube's such a strange platform, but and you see certain content, let's say like something really ghetto and just out there, and just unlawful, and it has 200,000 likes, millions of views, and you're like, whoa, why is this getting the press? And of course everybody knows that bad news and bad things are get attention.
Yeah.
Train crashes get attention, car accidents on the side of the road,
Hmm.
like I'll tell you what, I got in a traffic jam the other day, and I was like,
Hmm.
there better be a car on the side of the road. We should not be going this slow.
Yeah.
That's a horrible thing to think because no, you don't want that. You don't want to wish that on people. But
No.
just the reality is, people love to look at bad things. They get curious, but I'm just so frustrated because
Well,
guys like you were out there trying.
and that's the thing, is I know what sells, right? But
Hmm.
the thing is, we're principled enough as an organization, is we're not going to put out stuff that's going to attract that kind of negative attention just to get the likes. Like,
Right.
I don't need your likes if I'm going to put somebody a life at risk. It's not worth it to me. And
Yeah.
so that's where I'm going to stand. I'm going to stand tall on my convictions and say, okay, I'm not going to get any views, and I'm just going to go somewhere else. I'm going to put my content, and I'm going to bless another platform with my information, and spread the message there.
Yeah.
We're very fortunate now. We just went over 215,000 subscribers on YouTube,
That's excellent.
and yeah, yeah. So we crossed that today. So that's something that I'm still trying to figure out, what YouTube likes, but it's definitely given us extra boost of people seeing what we do.
Now, what I was going to ask is, I was going to ask, I guess my thought process when Elon bought Twitter X, Twitter X, what do you call it? I don't know. I thought, wow, okay, he's talking about making it a video centric platform. I make a lot of videos. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they already have post and text, pictures and text already enabled on that platform. Is this going to be the new place that gun people go? And I know some people tried. There are some notable firearms influencers who exist on the platform, Grand Thumb, guys
Mm-hmm.
like that, Coleon. But his thing's always a little bit different because he's gunny, but he's also political, or at
Mm-hmm.
least in the advocacy phase.
Hmm.
And it's like, when when is that platform going to become video centric enough that anyone can get on and succeed? And I don't know that that's coming. I don't know that that's coming. Do you see a platform coming up that can actually take that? Is it X? Is it something else?
See, I have friends that use X. The problem I have with X is I don't like all of the virtue signaling. I don't like the
Mm-hmm.
aggressive tones. Like I don't like any of that. And I know people, they put out divisive stuff because that's what gets retweeted. And like I feel almost like I'm a man without a country because I like that's not something that because I think about my mental health. You brought up Hold My Guns and Walk the Talk America. Those are both great organizations. I partner with Walk the Talk America, and I'm very conscious of my mental health. And so part of my mental health is I don't go into these snake pits. I mean, we do have a Twitter account, and I put some content there, but it's not something that's going to make or break our organization. So I see a lot of people that get riled up, and that's what drives these algorithms. I totally get it. I'm not saying I don't know why I'm not getting the views. I totally know why I'm not getting the views. It's because our stuff is clean. You know what I mean? And so I just have to accept that and figure out a different way. I've been using. We have a blog, so I've been writing blogs. I've been doing all sorts of different things, and it's all about getting a positive message that resonates with people that understand that this is a very complex issue. We're talking about gun safety and firearms with kids and restrictions and all these legal things. Like it's a very complex issue because at the end of the day, we all want to save lives, right? If we could wave a magic wand right now and say no more killing in this world with a firearm, we would all be happy. But the realization is a lot of this stuff is mental health. A lot of this stuff is criminals. A lot of this stuff is it's human nature, right? And we're just blaming an inanimate object, which is the firearm. And so until we realize that it's not necessarily the gun that's doing all this bad stuff, and we start admitting the fact that it's all the other stuff that's leading up to the gun and that trigger being pressed that's causing all this stuff, we're never going to fix this problem. And so that's where we have to be real with our fellow countrymen and women is like if we truly want to save lives, we have to close our mouths for a moment, and we have to open up our ears, and we have to listen to people that have experience. And so what I mean by that is we have experience in knowing the importance of gun safety. We have experience teaching young children how to responsibly handle firearms. And knock on wood, I'm going to knock on wood here, we've had 28,000 kids through our program with zero accidents. Okay, zero accidents.
That's
And we're
awesome.
going to continue to, you know what I mean? So like we have the knowledge that's necessary when it comes to safety for our children. And it's not banning this or restricting this. It's actually teaching them the respect and the responsibility that goes into having a firearm inside the home. And so it's a challenge.
No, you're absolutely right, and I'm a big proponent that the the issue with firearms isn't the firearms; it's the people who potentially own. And there's potentially even, I might get in trouble for saying this. There's even good people who can get a firearm and do something that is unlawful, immoral, just overall just a bad situation. There's no right, no wrong answer. It just turned out bad. Um, and there's also people who can do that with a butter knife. Yeah,
Absolutely. You
it
you
doesn't
you
take
want to
much.
fix you want to fix the problem really quickly. Quit
Mm,
publicizing these mass killers. Okay, take
absolutely.
away the notoriety. Like in Canada, it's illegal for them to publish the shooter, the name of the shooter, the picture of the shooter. Right?
Mm,
That's the only thing that Canada does right when it comes to gun control. Okay, so we take away the ability for the media to monetize the carnage in our society.
mm.
You're going to have less people that are going to commit these horrible crimes because they're doing it because they're isolated. They feel this is the only way that they're going to make their mark in this world is to do something, horribly tragic.
Yeah, we a few months ago, actually, I think it was February, we had New York Times bestselling author Larry Correia on the show to
Mm.
debut his brand new book at the time, In Defense of the Second, and it's written so plainly. The English in it is so simple, but pretty much saying like, hey guys, stop publicizing these people. Clearly, like we're doing everything wrong, and you kind of you start to notice that he used the term vultures when referring to the media. When the media
Hmm.
vultures get their hooks in something that they like, oh yeah, this the 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 offender or whatever you want to call them, they check certain boxes, you're going to hear about it for days. Like, oh yes, this is the story
Absolutely.
we love. Now,
Yeah.
if the ethnicity or the background of the person is wrong
Hmm.
or unideal, maybe they can spin it a different way. But
Hmm.
God forbid there's a mass shooter who's black. I mean, you don't see that a lot, anyways. But God forbid you do.
No.
God forbid you do.
Hmm.
God forbid that they are from one of the model minorities, or quote unquote. God forbid, you're not going to
Yeah.
hear about it for long. And they want to make sure that it's some sort of assault weapon. It was an Uzi, semi-auto, assault pistol. Let's get it. That's what they do.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, and so I mean, we're talking about legislation. I mean, everybody's the First Amendment. We have a First Amendment right, and all this, yada yada
mm-hmm.
yada. But it comes down to if you're profiting off the car, and we look at every town moms demand action. Every time there's a senseless killing, they fire up emails. They make money off the people that just died, and they call for more, just another law. If we just have one more law, all of this problem would be fixed. The problem
Mm-hmm.
is it's not designed to fix the problem. What it's designed to do is to put them in a position so they can make more money, which
Yeah.
takes away from people like us that are doing the work. And we have an important message, but it just doesn't fit the narrative. And so if we could change that in society and say, well, we don't publicize these murders and we don't give these people a platform or a microphone, we're not going to get the same results that we have right now.
Yeah. So, you know, Shannon Watts was um, I guess the leader, founder,
Hmm.
chair, or whatever of
Hmm.
Moms Demand Action, which is a crazy name. And if you could sit down in a room with Shannon Watts, and just have a 2 minute conversation with her or monologue, what would you say?
Well, I think the first thing I would say is why don't my children inside school deserve the same kind of protection that our politicians or she might have. She has armed security at all times, but as a single parent, a single mother, for example, why isn't she afforded that same protection for her child as your children are? And so part of it is the hypocrisy, because it comes down to the amount of money that they have amassed trying to push this fallacy of gun control. And so that's something where, and then I would talk about solutions that, something that we have to, where's our common ground, right? We have to build bridges as opposed to burn bridges. And so my first question would be about the how I should have the same opportunity to protect my kids as she has for her kids, but I also would try to figure out where our common ground is. And I feel that we're almost closer than we think that we truly are. It's just they want to keep us isolated and they want to keep us fighting each other, because that's how, that's what drives the media, the ad sales. And so it's definitely, um there's a dark side of everything that's happening, and it's all, you follow the money. And so that's, there's more common ground. We're talking about like dinner, kitchen table type conversations. There's more common ground for people that don't have guns or are afraid of guns than they want us to be able to figure that out. They want to keep us, fighting once, because that's, when we're in smaller boxes, we're easier to control. And that's what they're doing to us right now.
You're absolutely correct. We're a lot easier to control when it seems like, oh, it's just that minority of people talking to that minority of people,
Mm.
or these two polar opposite ends. We're busy fighting each other. We can't realize that there's some. I don't want to sound conspiratorial or like the theys are out there to get you, but they're out there to get you, and they don't care.
Yeah.
and just if we could just find, like you said, that common ground. And there's this program on YouTube called Jubilee. They do a lot of these, put 10 people in a room, 5 on each side of a political issue or a
Hmm.
social issue, and just kind of let them actually talk it out and have conversations, debates, or address prompts. And I find that to be interesting. Sometimes those conversations are dumpster fires, and sometimes they're fantastic because you're like, wow, okay, so white liberals and black conservatives are actually sitting down in a room and having a conversation about what they actually believe, and we can say, okay, well, I can look into your eyes and I can say, this guy is kind of grifting. Like he's not really about this. He just found a lane where he can make money, or
Yeah.
or the opposite. Okay, this guy really does believe what he's saying. I'm sitting here. I'm talking with him. I'm talking with him afterwards, and he's a kind person, but we just have some different views. And I think
Mhm.
what people don't see on that program is I had Rhonda Mary, former guest of the show, or a former guest. Um,
Rhonda
she
Marie.
was on. Yeah, she was on the.
Oh,
She
she's
was
great.
on Jubilee.
She's great.
Yeah, she's
Oh, really?
fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah, she was on Jubilee
Ooh, doggies.
about last year, and she was saying that some of the conversations that happened before and after, that's kind of where there's a lot there. Like, oh wow, this person really is terrible, or this person's really nice, but when it's time for them to talk about the issue, they get kind of like dog with a bone, And so
Mhm.
I think people should take a moment and realize that the internet's not a real place. In a sense it is because we're connecting, but in reality, like you can present whatever you want to present. Like you can literally be in tears texting a really nasty email or whatever, right? Um, putting on such a pretty face, but in reality, you are not what you say you are. Um,
Mhm.
and that's big for me. So I really appreciate what you said about Shannon Watson addressing some of the main concerns that even I have, where it's like, hey, like, oh girl, like, what are you doing? Like, don't you know that
Mhm.
we can do things to really fortify the way we do public education,
Mhm.
which people have issues with that too, right? But if we're going to have hundreds of kids in one space, literally hundreds of soft targets, shouldn't we do one or two or three things to make sure that they're not just sitting ducks, just waiting
Yeah.
for help? Like the idea of being a sitting duck is horrible.
I think I wanted to let you finish your thought. One thing that stuck out to me about your comment
Mm-hmm.
is, why does this have to be political? Okay.
Mm.
And follow me here. Okay. This is not a left versus right issue. We're talking about gun safety. That's why I never say this is a pro gun message. This is a pro safety message.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
and so it's so easy for us to get into this us versus them mentality, as opposed to, and that's what takes away all positive momentum when it comes to these situations. Okay. Is if we're what the biggest thing that we could do to improve upon what's happening in society is to take the political stigma that they're used to away from the conversation and say, okay, this is we don't care about your opinion of guns. Okay, the guns are here. We have 450 million estimated guns in this country, 110 million responsible law-abiding citizens in this country. They're not going anywhere. Okay, you could say ban these today, and it would be impossible for you to collect every gun in this country. So let's do something different. Let's coexist. Okay, let's
mm-hmm.
promote responsible gun ownership, right? Let's promote safety. Let's promote education of the children to teach them that guns are not to be improperly used, and maybe we'll move this needle in a way that it needs to be moved.
I
and
love that.
and so and so that's what I would propose in this situation. And you kind of caught me off guard, because I never thought what I would say to Shannon Watts. I never
Yeah,
thought. And so I would love to maybe circle back, maybe a different time. We'll talk about, like, let me put some thoughts into what I would say, because I,
yeah,
I definitely know that if I got any kind of time with her, I would want all of my thoughts to come out in a clear and concise way that could resonate in a way that I need them to resonate with her. And
yeah.
and so that's I would love that opportunity, because I what I love doing is I love talking to people that don't like what I do. I love
Mm.
talking to people, because that's how I learn.
Yeah,
I learn how to message by having these tough conversations with people that are afraid or people that don't like, because I got to figure out, what their quote unquote triggers are, so I can develop the messaging to be able to reach them and their kids. So
it's
I
interesting that you said that, and I would love to circle back at some point and really, dive deeper into something like that.
mhm.
And like you said, you do need to kind of see people who oppose your message and learn how to share it in such a way that maybe it doesn't convince them all the way, but allow it to kind of sit with them and let that seed be planted and let it be something that they can think about. It's not like, oh, that guy was just terrible to me. He just yelled at me for an hour, and it's like, oh,
Mm.
well, why would you even like every clearly whatever he's about is terrible. But the opposite of that is to say something in kindness and love with respect, to a point, and let it set in.
Yeah, and I mean, at the beginning of my career, as I was developing the program, I used to go to their meetings. There's a local chapter in here of Moms Demand Action, and I would go there, and I was like the token gun guy. I would go in there, I would listen to them talk, and when they're talking assault rifles, I'd say, well, why aren't we talking about the modern sporting rifle? Well, what's the modern sporting rifle? And so I'd scroll through my phone, find a picture of me with my AR-15, and I'd show them a picture of the AR-15, and they're like, wasn't that an assault rifle? I go, no, it's not. I goes, well, what's the difference? I go, the vernacular, the terminology. That's the only difference.
Mm,
So that's how I learned in the beginning of this, because I wouldn't be where I'm at if I didn't figure out how to communicate with those that don't like what I do. There's been times, and I don't want to totally, but I've marched in their marches, downtown, and to go just kind of watch. And obviously I wouldn't wear their orange shirts, but I go there just to see what their messaging is, and where they were going with legislation and stuff like that. So a lot of it was fact finding for myself,
yeah,
but it was something that I
that's
was
so interesting.
we're yeah. And the thing is, I would advise you guys, like the people that are watching this, is get comfortable being uncomfortable. Go into those situations, figure out a way that you can be respectful and listen, but you're going to learn a lot from your opposition by doing that.
Yeah, I would say definitely do. And I think, like you said earlier, like we are so weak when we're separate, and the power of echo chambers is ridiculous. And I know you said, hey, I'm kind of a weirdo. I don't want to be in an echo chamber, um, because I mean, echo chamber is kind of where the money in the cloud is at, right? Like if you can really drill down and nail down your echo chamber and make sure that you can get the widest reach possible within that certain little circle, you could really kind of get the fanatics on your side and be like, hey, we're gonna support this. Maybe I don't know. Do people like that support anybody? I don't know.
The thing with that, we're talking about clout. Like, what is
Mm-hmm.
clout?
Mm,
Like, would clout be having a company send you free armor or free rifles or free handguns, or would clout be educating 28,000 kids
right.
in 5 states? Like their idea of clout and my idea of clout are totally different things. And I look at is, one is good for the public, the other one is self-serving, right? And
Mm,
so, till we realize as a two-way community that we're better together. We're better when all of us succeeds. We're
mm,
better when all of our microphones are boosted, as opposed to that certain individual gets the free stuff so they can do the content for it. We're better when we're all winning,
yeah.
because the other side, one thing that's really important about the other side is they are united. It doesn't matter. They don't have these squabbles. They don't have these Instagram beefs. They are moving down the field so rapidly, and they continue to score on us every time.
Yeah. No, it is interesting that you said that, and I want to address Instagram beefs and saying the wrong thing and getting basically deplatformed and
Mhm, mhm.
by your own side, quote unquote, in a minute. But we do need to hop over and address um, some things that got to be handled in just one moment. So let's go ahead and do that right now.
Okay.
So, guys, if you've been following the show, you know that we love um, Obsidian Tactics. And with that, they are sponsoring another ammo giveaway. So let's go ahead and set up the ammo giveaway. We're giving away Is it going to be Blazer? Or is it going to be something else? I don't know. I don't know what he's giving away. This is my personal pack, but this is just a visual reference. 50 pack of 9 mil, or if you prefer, this is a completely brand new. I just ordered it literally on Friday. It came in on Saturday. This is the fast shipping of Obsidian Tactics. A tourniquet, brand new tourniquet, which is for if you were to be in some sort of accident or incident that your extremities, arms, legs were harmed. If you're losing blood fast, you get you a tourniquet and you cinch that thing on, and you can potentially save your life. So, great medical tool. I recommend that everyone keep it with them. And the way that you can win one of these is to do something super duper simple. All you have to do is take a screenshot of your podcast screen or the YouTube or the live or wherever you are watching this, whether it's a replay or the live thing, I don't care. Post it on Instagram and tag me at armed_atlas and Kids S.A.F.E Foundation. So I'm following Kids S.A.F.E if you're maybe having a hard time locating them, but go ahead, tag us both in the social media share. It doesn't have to be Instagram. It just does have to be a platform that we both use. So if it's Facebook, that's fine. If I don't know that he's on Twitter X, but that's also fine. And we'll verify that when we get back to the show. And or Instagram is probably one of the better platforms. Unfortunately, it's what it is. So if you want to participate, it'll, as long as we have at least 10 participants, I will give you $30 value, free tourniquet. I'll ship it to you. No money. I don't need any money for it. I will literally pay for the shipping, and or the box of ammunition. It's either or. So that said, Obsidian Tactics has sponsored the ammo giveaway and made sure that we have great discounts on all the things. And so use code ARMEDATLAS at checkout, and you actually get free shipping super fast. Like I said, I ordered it. I ordered that tourniquet. No, I ordered something else on Friday. Literally got it on Saturday. That's super fast. And if you want free shipping, that just makes sense to me. So back to the show. Thank you guys for paying attention. All right. So let's just verify. Are you on Twitter X? Oh, hold on just a second. Derek, let's just verify. Are you on Twitter X?
Yes, I am. Yeah, we're on Twitter
Okay.
X under the Kids
And
S.A.F.E Foundation.
Kids S.A.F.E Foundation. Excellent.
Yeah.
So, like I said, if anyone wants to participate in that giveaway, as long as we get 10 participants, at least, resharing the stuff, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or if they have a YouTube channel or whatever, I don't care. You can post it in your community tab. You can be entered and potentially win a free tourniquet. Those things are unusually expensive, but they're super helpful if you need it. So, I did want to talk about kind of getting canceled in your own echo chamber potentially. I know you haven't, or maybe you have. I don't know. But I remember, what's his name? Tim Kennedy. He got himself into some hot water
Hmm.
by not towing the company line when it comes to the age of being able to own a firearm. Um, and I've had some guys who I love, and even myself, I'm like, that seems like a bad hill to die on. Apparently, he walked it back at a different time, but there is power in what you say and the stances you support, and of course, your words can be taken and submitted as basically testimony before
Hmm.
Congress and different bodies
Hmm.
who are making rules to govern us all. How do you feel about that? Because the gun community, half of them flipped on him. They were like, he's no good to us. How do you feel about that?
It's really common. We eat our own, and
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I'm guilty of it too. The biggest thing is I'm not going to engage. I'm just going to hit that unfollow button,
Right.
and you know what I mean. And I I don't want to. And that's what's important as an organization is when we're out there is it doesn't look good for the organization to be arguing in the comment section, and I feel that the people that we have elevated to the front of the line when it comes to having these voices, it's important that they know how we're all supposed to behave in this type of situation. What's a typical acceptable form of restriction? Right now, I don't see one really, and so
No.
that's why like I understand how the Second Amendment was ratified. I know what my founding fathers intended for my Second Amendment rights. I practice that daily. I actually have the Second Amendment, tattooed on my forearm because it's something that's so important
Holy,
to me.
that's awesome.
And so I practice what I preach. And that being said, is we all have to understand what's acceptable forms going forward, because they keep saying compromise, compromise, compromise. If you just do this, if you just submit to this universal background check, everything's going to be better. The problem is that's not going to be the end game. The end game is going to be they're going to continue. It's a death by 1,000 paper cuts. And so I think we have to do, and there's a lot of guys, and to be honest with you, the influencers are influencers, and there's people that are advocates. I'm an advocate. Okay. There's people that are really, really good at selling product. And I don't necessarily feel like they are the ones that we should be putting in front to say, advocate for my 2A rights. And, just because they're not well versed in it, everybody's got their own opinion. But the problem is, do you understand the context of the Second Amendment right? And so, that's where, like, I don't like the beef thing is we got to do better about not eating our own, but we also have to understand we have lanes. I have a lane, you have a lane, everybody has a lane. And so, that's where I'm getting at is it's tough. It's really
Yeah.
tough. I like Tim Kennedy. I like his energy. I like the stuff that he does, but do I want him speaking on my behalf when it comes to my 2A rights? No, I don't.
Right, because I mean, reality is there's a lot of bro vets out there who have great platforms and they're
Mhm.
pushing like 2A culture in
Yeah.
a sense. But should they be in charge of writing 2A policy? I don't know.
No.
I mean, we
No,
have
no.
the Brandon Herrera who's been in the space forever, who
Yeah.
has manufactured. He's running for Congress for the state of
Congress.
Texas, which I'm like, oh, great, Brandon's running.
Yeah.
But I haven't sat down and listened to his entire video or his conversation that he had with John Lovell of Warrior Poet Society to
I
really
saw it.
see. Maybe you could speak to it a little bit more than me, but I'm I'm not saying he's a bad candidate. I think he could be either or. I'm not sure, just based on this conversation that we're having right now, of the influencers, the guys with big platforms, the guys who their main job has been to get guns and blow up pineapples and for views,
Yeah.
if they're necessarily the best for writing laws. And maybe he is, based on what you've seen. I don't know. You don't have to speak on it, but
So with him, like,
mm-hmm,
I see it, like, I like his position when it comes to the 2A, right? He says no
mm-hmm,
more, no more, no moss. I
mm-hmm,
respect that. I feel that what this does is this motivates others to do the same thing. So I look at this as a really, really good thing. I
yeah,
see, obviously he's a single issue guy, like I'm a single issue guy, like I'm a
mm-hmm,
pro gun guy. That's how I've based my vote, is how is that person that I'm putting in office or potentially going to be in office, how are we going to either keep my Second Amendment rights where they're at currently, or are they going to expand upon my 2A rights? There's
mm-hmm,
very few people that truly do that, and so
right.
that's why, I mean, our votes really true, they do matter, and so we part of us, we have to get off the couch, we have to get involved, we have to run for office, we have to, we could start at the city council in your local city or state and go to the county commission office all the way to the state legislature. That's how we move this needle in a way, and that's going to be meaningful down the line.
You
And
know, we had a great
100%
comment
right
just
there.
come in. Yeah,
100% right there.
the great comment, just for the podcast listeners, and I'll read it out. Roy said, "Could Brandon be any worse than most of the current people who currently hold office?" I'm going to say no,
No.
just based on what I've seen. I've met him twice. Really cool guy, real down to earth. People around
Mhm.
him love and respect him. There's some lefties who got mad that I took a picture with him, and
Yeah.
that's fine too. But but I think in regards to, based on what I've seen, it could be good. It could be a complete dumpster fire because he's got lives outside of guns. And so I mean, not
Yeah.
outside of guns. I mean, he's got his gun stuff. He's got his other stuff. But the majority of his platform has been like making content, reacting to memes. So my question is like, does he have the what it takes to survive in that beast of a machine? Probably, probably,
Re-
but I wonder.
Realistically, I don't think he has a chance because he's going up against an incumbent. The
An
way,
incumbent on his
like
side.
I've been watching the Sean Ryan show. He has done some really great stuff when it comes to politics. And, my friend Tony Cowden was just on the other day, and that's a really good one to check out is that
Tony ran,
podcast.
didn't he?
And he did run, and he
Mm-hmm.
was he was ground up and he was spit out, and
Yeah.
it's a machine. And I guess the biggest thing is using his platform. Obviously, he still has to make a living off YouTube, but also using his platform to ignite supporters to either, if he can do it, I can do it, right? And
Yeah.
it's all about getting our neighbors involved in this fight. And that's how we replace these career politicians. There's no reason that we should have somebody that's 80 years old that can't even make it through a press conference, dictating the rest of our lives.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
Like, we have got to do better. Okay. And so if
And
anybody's
and
listening to
it's
this
not
right
even just
now,
the other guys.
no, and that's on our side. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And so it's just like we have to get involved. And I've been toying with, getting involved in the legislature here in Oregon. Obviously my my focus is on the kids, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel that I provide more value to my state by doing what I'm doing to protect children than I do running for office. And so that's where I'm kind of like, I mean, I should practice what I preach, but that's what keeps me from going into that marble nut house. And that's what it is. I spent a lot of time in the last legislative session up there meeting with reps and, building a name for myself, building a network up there. And but the thing is, at the end of the day, the children are too important to me and
Yeah.
protecting them.
That's
And so I
I
I
love
just don't
that.
know how I can balance it all.
I mean,
So
I said I love that. I love that you are so committed to the kids that you would say no to other projects or they could never come second to it. But also, it makes me wonder. There's programs out there like Diana Muller and the DC
yeah,
Project, who
these
she's
projects.
she's been on the show, and I
Yeah.
really appreciate that she promoted what she's been doing. And I wonder if do we need to create more DC projects, or do we need to create a how do you say or do we just need to supercharge and support them 125%? I mean, obviously, I love to support the people who like the DC project, who've only really shown me good things. I've never seen anything that I have any issue with. They're literally going and doing the thing, right?
Yeah.
But do we need to continue expanding out and creating more? Because it's not just Moms Demand Action. It's every town. There's a few others. There's local bodies.
Nope.
I mean,
Nope.
how do we do it? I'm not asking you to answer that question, but unless you want to.
Yes.
But
I do. I do. Put
yeah,
me in, coach.
go
So
for it.
here's my response to, do we double down on DC Project or we come up with something else? We double down on DC Project. And I've known Diana Muller since 2019. She's actually shouted out the Kids S.A.F.E Foundation 3 times in testimony on Congress. And so I'm a tremendous, partner of hers and supporter of hers. And so I feel that they're doing what needs to be done. And the reason I say that is women can speak on our behalf so much more effectively than men can. And the problem is, and I use the kind of analogy, and this might get me in trouble here with the audience, is we're talking about, I work with children. I work with 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds. And sometimes as gun guys, we act somewhat like children. We use the small part of our brain. We act emotionally. We react to stuff. And I don't mean to be generalizing here, but this is just from my personal opinion. And so I feel that the women, if we could put them in front and we can let them speak for us and grab that microphone and support the women, we're going to be better off, because they're not going to act as emotional as we get sometimes. And it's because something that's important to us, right? Our Second Amendment rights are really, really under attack. And there's something that we like, that's our hill. That's our hill. And so I totally understand the emotional responses. But like, as guys, we have to do better with how we let that negative emotion control the way we interact with others, and so, the DC Project, I feel that They just need our help. And if we bring another organization into the fold that we think is going to do better than the DC project, that's going to take away from the funding that they need, and it takes away from the funding that I need, right? As an organization, we start adding all these different organizations into the mix. It makes it harder for all of us to make the impacts that we need to make. And what we need is support. We need people that will, cheer us on. We need people that'll boost our signal. That's what we need. And so that's why I would highly recommend is we just keep the DC project up front, and we make sure we give them the support that they need, because they're doing the thing. They're going, back into DC in October. They're going to be meeting with our representatives up there on the Hill, and so we want them to be in those rooms and doing what we need them to do.
Man, so I love that. We went ahead and posted it for those who are watching live or listening in on a live stream with the screen off. We went ahead and posted the link for DC project right here. And we also pinned to the top of the live feed the link for Kids S.A.F.E for those who want to jump in there. If you want to leave the stream, come back, or if you just want to check it out as soon as we're done, we would love that. Apparently, there's this comment that just came through. It's a little bit long, so I guess I'll just put it on the stream so we could read it. DJ Play Nice, who is a um, contributor slash moderator for the show. Thank you so
Is
much,
he?
DJ. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Agree. I know 7DC Project ladies pretty well. They all do great volunteer jobs and some more support. Absolutely. I've known a few. And it seems like every other person I've meet, like who is actually like really ingrained in the space, who is a lady, has at some point in time worked with DC Project. Like DC Project, Diana and her people, they know how to really get a hold of people who are like doing the thing and taking
Yeah.
them up to DC, or I guess on the state level, and making things happen. And like you said, and maybe you didn't say this specifically, but I think you placed a heavy emphasis on it. The state level stuff is important too.
Absolutely. And that's like we have the greatest impact for our 2A rights at the local state level, right? That's because our voices can be heard so much better. A lot of this is we're not teaching civics anymore. Is the younger generation doesn't understand civics. So the greatest impact we're going to have when it comes to our 2A rights is going to be at a local, like a city preemption type level, also at a county level, also at the state level. Okay, that if we can shore up all three of those lanes, we're going to be better off going into the future. And once, if we can protect our state rights, that's going to help when it comes to the what's happening in the federal level. And so it all comes down, we have to get better, we have to get involved, and we have to make sure that our voices are heard. So that means if we're calling, we're leaving voicemails, we're respectful when we're calling into our representatives, we're sending them emails, and we're making sure those emails are not like inflammatory, aggressive type emails. And that's something we developed here in Oregon. Is I we have a group on Facebook. We have 78,000 members on this group, and it's Oregon gun owners. And so we were really really active during Measure 114, and I taught a lot of people that weren't understanding how the process worked. And now I have people, and I'm so proud of my gun owners, because when something happens, they immediately send an email. It's like second nature. It's like bam, I already sent, like they start putting in the comments like done, done, done,
Love that.
because they know how to navigate the state system. And so now they have a voice. Now they're getting responses from their representatives. Now they're holding their representatives accountable. And so like that's really really important stuff to know going forward, is building these relationships and understanding how the process works, understanding how people are vulnerable up there, and getting people that can replace them, and then helping them win. That's how we're going to make this change. And if we can protect the state level, we can do the same thing on the federal level. The federal is a little bit different because of how much money is involved. There's literally millions and hundreds of millions of dollars involved when it comes to of the political machine. And so that's why we have to be really really understanding what we're up against.
You know, I I have a thought in regards to making sure that the organizations that you guys have supported altogether are kind of maintaining a certain level of relevancy, because unfortunately a lot of the times the organizations only get love when something bad happens, right? But before I dive into that last topic from my side, I want to make sure that there wasn't something in particular that you wanted to address. And I do see that there's, one of the moderators, DJ Play Nice, is dropping some really great information in the chat for those who want to watch the live stream back and see that information.
Mhm.
Basically, noting that the training event and rally is on October 16th for DC Project, and there's some numbers that you can access to get a hold of your switchboard operator for DC. And of course, there's the House of Representatives page and the Senate page. Yeah, DJ putting in the
Solid,
work, putting in.
solid stuff, DJ. Thank you.
Yes. But was there anything that you wanted to talk about? Because I have one last thing I want to get at, but I want to make sure that you have a chance to address something that if you haven't got a chance yet.
I think a key takeaway from tonight is, if not me, then who?
Mm,
If not now, then when? Okay,
yeah.
so really understand it's never too late to get involved in some sort of fashion, right? So sometimes it could be donating your tech services, your graphic design services to help us grow the message. I mean, if all you can do is donate is a huge thing. That's, just know and make sure you research who you're giving money to, because like I know what my overhead is, and I know that I would say 94 cents on the dollar would go to our program as opposed to like web hosting or like stuff like that. So like I know how much money stays inside the program. So be really careful with the money that you do spend and donate to, and support people that align with your values. And just know that there's a lot of great organizations out there that are doing the work. Another one is Faster Saves Lives out of Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing tremendous work to protect kids. And so there's lots of good people out there that are doing the work, and they just need your help. And obviously our organization is one of them. We couldn't do the stuff that we do without the public's help. And so just know that your money stays inside of our program, and it goes to put fuel in the van, and to reach more and more kids. So I think
Thank
that's about
you.
all I got on that.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying that. Just because, yeah, there's a lot of great organizations out there, or a lot of them that accomplish a goal, but could they do it without you? Or is 35 cent on the dollar actually going towards the cause, and a lot of it goes to like CEO overhead? And you're like, how
Mhm.
much is the CEO of Red Cross making? Not to call out Red Cross, but a lot.
Yeah.
They're making a lot, and maybe
Yeah.
they could make a lot more in a different organization. But we're talking about like millions of dollars for the salary, and you're like, I thought this was charitable. Like, I don't want you to be
Yeah.
broke. I do want you to make sure you can put your kids through college and maybe leave an inheritance. Millions of dollars. And I'm not, maybe I'm just jealous. Maybe I'm just jealous. But point being
I
is you guys could use it too. Yeah.
I think if I was motivated by money, I would have given up a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so, if because I do this for free, I do this because it's something it's important to me. It's also important to society. And so, I think another thing that's really be important to think about is the next generation of our 2A.
Mm,
If we don't reach these kids and teach them safety and how to be responsible and respectful and to protect their rights going into when they can actually vote, we're not going to have a 2A.
no.
And so that's where I've been sounding the warning signal for many years now. It's like, hey guys, gun guys, like like Ruger's, like all these other companies, like your future customer base is here. What are you doing to educate them to make sure they're going to be your customer base?
Yeah.
And I get crickets, I get silence, I get,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? And so that's where the gun industry, we got to do better.
Yeah. I'm thinking, guys like, and I don't know if you know him personally, but John Patton from the Gun Collective. I
I
want you
do.
guys to get connected and if you're not already super connected, a little bit more connected. I think it would be guys like that who just they've got so many connections. It's
Yeah.
important to have those conversations, and I don't know what your connections look like right now, but um, being making sure that you guys can continue to push that conversation forward, continue to have conversations with guys like Ruger, because I mean they make the 22 rimfires. You guys need more rimfires, right? Wouldn't it be
Mhm,
great if every single kid could have access to a rimfire for the entire course, right? And of course, wouldn't
mhm.
it be great if you had 10 paid volunteers, or at least volunteers you could take to lunch, right? Um,
Yeah.
and so I know I've been kind of harping on the money thing, but it's because I understand as an organization on my side who we don't make a ton of cash. Like, really, we're kind of like barely making it. But the reality is that makes it so like I know, like I know, like if you're actually out there doing the work, it costs a lot. So my big question that I had before is there a way to like package it together, like a couple of organizations like you, DC Project, maybe like two, three others, and say like, hey, if you guys want to support us, because we all kind of check the boxes of values. If you donate
Mhm.
$100, it gets split four or five ways. Like, is there a way to do that? Like, is that something you've ever thought of? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I mean, we work well together. So obviously DC Project, and that's why I support them, because they're the ones telling the representatives up there about my organization, the
Mm-hmm.
organization that I run, also about Faster Saves Lives. DJ, I really, really appreciate you. Thanks for your help with this chat. That's been tremendous to be able to get this information out to people, and so that's why we are united together, and they're the ones. They have the microphone. They're the ones that are in those committee meetings. And they're the ones that are laying the groundwork for us to do what we need to do, and so that's what gives me hope that everything will change eventually, is because I believe in these ladies. I believe in what they're doing, and we have a solution. Like, there's so many problems that we have in this society right now, and there's solutions, and we have them right here. We just need to have the voice be amplified, and the message to be heard, and that's what they're doing, and so that's why I really, obviously, I do have kind of a vested interest in their success, but it's because I know them so well, and I work well with them. And so, that's why I want to see them win. Because when they win, I win. And when I win, you win. We all win. That's the whole thing, is we can't be tribal about this stuff. We have to see the big picture and understand that when all of us win, it's a win for our two-way rights. Okay. Because what that means is because then we get the conversions. When I win and you win, we get the conversions. We get the people that never thought about owning a gun. Now they're intrigued about buying a gun, and so now they come to us for our advice. Okay, now that we have them there, then we talk about the pros and cons, and we help them steer them in a direction where they can make that first purchase. Once they make
That's
that
right.
first purchase, now we have somebody on the team. And the thing that we have to do better about is making sure that we shore up that vote. Okay. And the reason I say this, there was a couple years ago, there was a Phoenix Ammo, right? Phoenix, I don't know if you heard about this. There was
Yeah.
Rod Pincus, and they went back and forth about, and I was, I was kind of on the fence in this situation. And what made sense to me is quantity over quality, right? And so, or excuse me, quality over quantity. And the way Justin from Phoenix made it sound was he would rather have less people buying his product, but they're quality advocates for our two-way rights, than actually, just shipping ammo to anybody that wants to buy ammo. And like, what I didn't like about is having to check a box. Did you vote for Joe Biden to buy a box of ammunition? I'm not going to go buy a box of ammunition where I'm going to have to record with the company who I voted for. It's not their business. Okay, that's the one part I didn't agree with.
Right.
But that being said, what I did agree with is the approach that all of these new gun owners, if they're not going to stand together in solidarity when our rights are in trouble, then are they really on our side? And so that's where, obviously we want to bring new shooters into the fold, and we want to educate them. We want to empower them. We want them to exercise their rights, but we also want them to make sure that we can count on them when we need them to make that call or that email to their representative to be able to fight against some of this bad legislation. So there's a lot that goes into it.
Wow. Yeah, no, you've had 101 great points all episode. Thank you so much for sharing that, and of course, the continued conversation of like, hey, let's team together, make sure that we can, have people who support us, who really do support, not just like, oh, I'm a gun owner, but like, hey, like I really do support what we're doing here with the Second Amendment space. I support people who are trying to make a difference. I'll say this: I've seen a lot of Instagram pages, a lot of influencers, a lot of people, cool kids on the internet, come and go, and I've been on this kind of in the space for like 3 years ish. I've
Mhm.
seen a lot of accounts. I go through my chat, just scroll the feed, and oh, that's a empty chat feed. That means the account's been deleted or the account has been self deleted. So either the account's deleted forever or something, right? And then I recently we had Marshall Davis or Tig of My Sister's Keeper Defense, one of the biggest female firearms instructors, pretty much the top instructor in the state of Georgia for the ladies' side, is really focused on educating the black community specifically.
Mhm.
She
Mhm.
announced her retirement. It's coming up in the next few months, and it's like, man, wow, we are. That's not good for 2A. That's not good for the firearm space to lose people who are so ingrained, because she worked for the USCCA, SHOT Show. She's done some stuff with them, and a bunch of other organizations they've partnered together to do things. So it's sad to see accounts and personalities and businesses that have reached so many people with quality leaving. But that does happen. So what I'm trying to say, and my what I'm asking the audience to do is find brands, find companies, find individuals who are active, who are trying to make a difference, who are going to do some of the harder work that maybe you just don't want to have to do, and join them. Whether that's actually doing the work with them, like, hey, Derek, how can I volunteer with you once a month or once a quarter? Like, can I do a background check? Can we work together? And do something like that, or say like, hey, man, I can't give you everything, but here's $100. Hit me up next year. I'm gonna see if I can't throw you another 100. Right?
Mhm.
Something like that. And we have to support the people who are here while they're here, because you won't be here forever. Just the law of averages, right? You're gonna be gone eventually. So that's where I am, and I hope that people get that.
And I'm thinking legacy. Like what I'm doing now is I'm thinking legacy. Like where, like what happens to this special thing that I created if I'm gone, right? And who's going to carry that torch? And because I'm looking 10 years, I'm looking 20 years down the line. Like I can't be a volunteer for 20 years, right? Because I have needs, right? But it's like as long as I can reach those kids, I'm going to continue to go, and that's what we do. And I think, one thing you brought up about help, like and one thing our audience doesn't understand is your help doesn't cost a thing. It's a like, it's a comment, and it's a share. Those three things are free. They take you very little time, and that helps us get in front of those people that we need to see. And so that's my biggest advice. Just if there's pages that you support, weigh in, comment, comment, share, and that's what's going to help boost these algorithms and help us all. Because
For sure.
what do they say when like when the water rises, it raises all ships. Is that what they
Hmm.
say?
Um,
Um,
Rising tide raises all boats, or
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. I kind of butchered it. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I did too. It's like a little sloppy on my end, but you're absolutely right. And I'll note this: I've posted a lot on Reddit especially when I was first getting started, and something that they do not like, in those different moderated chat rooms on Reddit, or dedicated forums on Reddit, is for somebody to come in who's not already established in that page, who hasn't been commenting, posting, etc., who has no history, and say like, "Hey guys, I'm doing something. Come check out the podcast," or "Hey, I had this great conversation with," if I have like going to one that's like pro guns or something like that, and say, "Hey guys, I just had a conversation with Derek. He's doing something really cool." They'd be like, "Okay, cool. You can't post here. You've literally no history here." They're really tribal. But if for some reason you are in that chat, in that ecosystem already, and say like, "Hey guys, I'm here all the time. check out this conversation that I had, or that this guy had. I really like this section. It'll actually get a much more organic push. Like if I'm just promoting my
Mhm.
own stuff, I look like a shill for my own stuff, right? But if you
Yeah.
share, if you say like, "Hey, I noticed that Derek just had this post talking about these things. I think we should really support this guy." It's just so much better.
Yeah, that's all I ask. I mean, all we ever want to do is just have fun, right?
Yeah.
We want to be successful. We want to grow what we're doing. We want to feel that we get value, and I feel that I get value. I get
Yeah.
value from the conversations that I have after class with the parents that are so thankful that their kids got to learn and that
Yeah.
their kids are going to be safe and the kids are doing backflips and they had a great time. They learned about an AR-15. They got to see a AR-15 in real life, and
Yeah.
it's something that they didn't learn about on a video game, which a lot of them know from video games. And so, that's that's how I know that I'm making the impact that I need. The problem is I need to reach your kids,
Yeah.
and I need to reach DJ Play Nice's kids. The only way we do that is develop a message that it's easy to share. I did see something that I think it was in Ohio where all the anti-gunners are talking about this 1 minute video when it talks about gun safety, right? Is all of these kids are learning gun safety from this 1 minute video, and this is like
Hmm.
the rage, right? It's like we've been here for years. Like we've been talking gun safety for years. Like, and you guys are just now coming around because of a 1 minute video. And now I actually have people that are reaching out to us and wanting to come to classes because of that 1 minute video. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll take advantage of that, and I'll teach your kids there's more to it than a 1 minute video.
Mm.
And so that's kind of the thing is you never know how you're going to reach that person. It's what you do with that moment, I guess.
That's awesome.
So
Derek, wow. Thank you so much. Tell the people one more time how they can find you.
you can find us on our website, kidssafefoundation.org. There's two S's in that. Also, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You also find us on YouTube as well. I did just sign up and got a Discord server, so I'm trying to figure out Discord as well. So there's lots of stuff that I'm trying to do to learn to get better at what I'm doing, so I can reach more kids. And it's big tech is not making it easy, and so that's why I'm so thankful for the opportunity tonight to talk to all you guys. Yeah, normalize gun safety, absolutely, 100%. So that's where we're at. Is guns are normal, and it's really really common for kids to be, I call them gun curious, right? Where you have a 5 or 6 year old boy that comes in that is quote unquote gun curious, I call him. And so once I give him this information, now he's going to want to join us on the range. And so now that's how this circle of life when it comes to our 2A is refilled, because now we have this next generation that's going to be an avid hunter or a shooter, and he's going to learn the right way, and he's hopefully going to, when it's time, he's going to vote the way we need him to vote.
That's right. So, guys, thank you so much. Derek, we want to say thank you again. And this is the outro. If you haven't figured it out already, this is the outro. Thank you so much for being with us live. For those who were able to tune in live, of course, there's going to be guys who hop in on the replay. Just a quick reminder, if you are live with us late or maybe you hopped around, you can win a free brand new tourniquet. I just picked it up from obsidiantactics.com. Use code ARMEDATLIST to get free checkout or free shipping at checkout. Or if you prefer, box of 9 mil, and all you have to do to be eligible to win it is we need to get at least 10 of you to go on any individual social media platform, take a screenshot of what we're doing here, whether it's this screen or whatever, the podcast screen or whatever, and just let people know, like, hey, I'm enjoying the show. They're talking about really positive things. They're talking about good things. And tag both myself and Kids S.A.F.E Foundation at Armed pretty much everywhere, or Classic Conversations podcast. Just some way so we can see you and record you, and we'll go ahead and put you in a randomizer and draw it out next week and see who wins. Shout out to Burnt Nugget for winning the ammo on the last giveaway. Really glad that we got a chance to get rid of that. And guys, if you really want to support Costly Conversations podcast, Armed Atlas, all that stuff. It's in the live feed right now, patreon.com/Armed Atlas. And we just thank you for being here. Until next time, keep it costly.